Keith McLoughlin joined Electrolux 8 years ago. He's now the company's president and CEO. He joins me live now from Milwaukee. Welcome to the Pulse. Thanks so much for speaking to us. So we're just talking there about profit in the first quarter, missing analyst estimates. How difficult is it going to be to turn that around in the coming quarters?
Yeah, it's actually, just to correct the information that you might have, actually we exceeded the estimates for Q1. It certainly was a tough quarter, but we came in at operating profit of 696 million Swedish crowns versus an estimate, consensus estimate of 654. So it was both actually on and above plan and consensus estimates, so just to set the record straight. Having said that, certainly comparably versus Q1 of last year, it was a tough quarter, which we knew it would be, with the dramatic rise in cyclical commodities, raw materials, and the price pressure. So that kind of was the impact that had the margin squeeze going on. I'm happy to report that we previously announced our intention to raise prices and pass through these increases in raw materials, and I can confirm today that we have in fact raised prices, particularly in the North American U.S. market, effective with April shipments. So those increases in raw materials, while dramatic, are working their way through the value chain.
And just to clarify one small thing, Mr. McLoughlin, that was figures, profit figures, estimates coming to us from a survey of analysts that Bloomberg conducted. But I want to talk about your forecast for raw material costs, and how concerned are you about this weighing on earnings in the coming months over the course of the next year?
Yes, we've communicated that our expectation is that our raw materials will impact us year over year by an increase of about 2 billion Swedish crowns, which is a significant increase. We've already taken on 650 million of that in the first quarter. So, of course, the remaining quarters, it will be slightly less going forward, but it will be significant for the year. We expect that we are in a peak period where metals, whether that's steel, aluminum, copper, zinc, even lithium for batteries, as well as plastics and resins, as you all mentioned, have been increasing dramatically and broadly, including fuel. So if you think about the price of oil and what that translates into diesel fuel to transport for ground transportation, it's been significant. We think, though, that we're in a spike, and that over time they will mitigate back down.
How long do you think it'll take for that to happen?
Our expectation is that the second half of the year that will be a better trend than where we are in the first half.
Now, Electrolux has spent the last few years cutting costs, but now you're moving into more of a growth phase with the company. Can you tell me where this growth is going to come from?
Certainly. Actually, Electrolux has a great history of delivering shareholder value through great productivity work, as you mentioned, but also through great mix work. So innovation in new products, in brand work. And the opportunity for us is to take that combined return on invested capital, which has got margins in mid-single digits, and turning the assets 4 or 5 times. So a 25 to 30% return on invested capital quality company, and grow that. And where will we grow it? We'll grow it in emerging markets where we're underrepresented. We've got a great business in Brazil, where we're the leading brand there. We're looking to export that business model throughout the remaining part of Latin America. We've got a great business and growing business, double digits, in Southeast Asia.
And Mr. McLoughlin, and speaking of emerging markets,
go ahead.
Your talks to buy Olympic Group financial investments in Egypt were put on hold because of the political unrest in the country. And then last month, negotiations resumed again, right? How are those talks going now?
Actually, we're in good discussions with the Olympic Group, the sellers, working through due diligence items, also obviously being aware of what's happening in the country and in Northern Africa, the region. We see the opportunity in that region, Middle East, Northern Africa, with lots of people increasing their disposable income over time, trending toward more democratic regimes, and that the affluence of the population will increase. They'll need houses, and if they need houses, they'll need appliances.
So does that mean that
we think it's the right place for us to be in the long term for future demand.
Mr. McLoughlin, does that mean that you'll be closing the transaction in Egypt pretty soon?
We're optimistic and hopeful that we'll be able to close the transaction. We didn't report any new news on that acquisition because we don't have any new news. We're working through details, and we're cautiously optimistic that we'll close that deal this year, but there's still work to do.